Welcome back to the Purple Politics Podcast. I'm your host, Ben.
And I'm Rick.
And it's that time of the week when Rick and I sit down to go through the headlines.
In the current media landscape, everything is printed in red or blue. Ben and I try to find the purple area between the lines.
We ask questions, apply logic, and discover what stories were written by the headline heroes.
Just like the news, we're not always right and we don't always agree, but we always look for some sort of common ground.
Let us know what you think. Leave us a comment or send an article you'd like us to discuss over at purplepoliticspodcast.com. You can also follow us on Facebook, Instagram, or at Rick and Ben on Twitter. Abortions are back in the news this week.
Of course they are.
Nobody can deal with this. All right, abortions are, to me, the perfect purple politics topic because there is not a black and white. There is not a red and blue.
Right.
And this week, the vote against the abortion bill went for the Democrats. The Democrats let it pass. No, the Democrats voted against it. They wanted to pass to persecute doctors who let babies die is the picture that they're painting.
Yeah.
So
well, they got to push their agenda.
Exactly, and that's what that's to me. That's all it is. It's just their agenda.
It's just posturing.
On the right, you got Mitch McConnell saying, and I quote, "Evidently, the far left is no longer convinced that all babies are created equal."
Oh, does he get an Oscar for that performance? I mean, he has his own fucking agenda. Come on.
Exactly. So the truth is over here. We've talked about it. You can find out on our past episodes. We've talked about abortions
several times. Absolutely.
And we feel that for the majority of late-term abortions, you've had plenty of time to decide, I need to have an abortion.
Right. Well, I think we agree that abortion is not a form of birth control.
Exactly.
I mean,
that's what we believe.
You know.
But then you got on the left, people are saying, Patty Murphy, this bill is not about protecting infants, as Republicans have claimed, because that is not up for debate, and it's already a law. So what she's saying is it's already a law. If the baby is born, if we have a premature baby and it's born, the doctor has to fight to keep it alive.
Right. Isn't that part of his Hippocratic oath? Honestly?
The Hippocratic oath is the doctor says they will do no harm.
Right.
Which, yes. But harm is a question. We'll get to this in a little bit. Harm is... There's even a purple line on harm.
Yeah. And I don't mean to cut you off. But
No.
I guess what I'm getting at is... First off, I'm a male, so the only thing I really have is an opinion. I wouldn't push my belief on any female because it's I can't do that.
We don't know what they're going through.
Right, absolutely. But I just spaced out. I guess what I'm trying to say is just because something's a law or not a law, personally, you make your own decision. The law doesn't force somebody to take action. So if just because a late-term abortion might be legal doesn't mean all of a sudden everybody's got to have late-term abortions.
Right. And it's not like the second that they pass this law or knock down this law, everybody's going to have an abortion. And still, here's a fact for you. Only 1% of all abortions occur after 21 weeks of presidency. After this presidency, I'd say it happens.
Freudian slip right there.
But pregnancy, and that's according to the Guttmacher Institute. And abortions during the final weeks are even rarer. But the end of Patty Murphy's quote is, "This bill is government interference in women's health care, in family lives," which we're going to get into that part in a minute, and in medicine and steroids. And I didn't really look up what she meant by that. But the family lives is a big deal for me. And women's health care is a big deal for me because I am 100% for an abortion if it's going to kill the mother to have the baby, because how are we going to take care of that baby?
Absolutely.
We don't have enough orphanages, and the foster care system is just ridiculously awful.
Yeah.
And abortion rights groups say it's extremely unusual for live infants to be born during attempted late-term abortions. So, I mean, really, we have this picture that it's happening all the time, but I believe I looked it up. It was like 146 late-term abortions happen in a year.
Yeah, and I'm
In
sure there's
America.
146 different reasons for it too.
Well,
You know,
they say 96 out of the 146 or 90 something out of the 146, which we're about to get into too, is because of like things that are terminal for the baby. The baby's going to come out and die within a week.
yeah,
And the baby's going to be in extreme pain. Let's go into a personal example. This is from Kate Carlson. She wrote a report in the USA Today. She's an opinion contributor for the USA Today. And this is a direct quote from her. And I'm not going to take any words out. My daughter, Laurel, was diagnosed on May 2012 with catastrophic brain malformations, including Dandy Walker malformations, that were overlooked until my 35th week of pregnancy. I did not know much about brain disorders at that point. I imagined developmental delay, special education classes, financial pressure, and overhaul of expectations for Laurel life and my motherhood. And I'm going to break in right here. So even right here, when she's heard about this condition, she's like, okay, I'm going to have this baby. My life is going to change, but this is what's going to happen. Now I'm going back into the quote. Here were the doctor's real expectations for Laurel. A brief life of seizures, brief is the quote, full body muscle cramps, and aspirating her own bodily fluids. There is no cure nor anyone anywhere near on the horizon. Yes, we were counseled in depth on our options, including adoptions, because we wanted to spare our daughter as much suffering as possible. Now, this child was going to be born with a condition that was going to be painful, short, or lifespan that was going to be short, and the mother chose, I'm not going to put my baby through this.
well, and here's the thing. This is a decision that shouldn't be made by any government body. This is a decision that should be made between the parents, their God, and their physician.
Exactly. I 100% agree.
So
they made the decision to, and I'm going to say, just end the suffering of this baby. I'm not going to say end the life, terminate the life, or the abortion. Those are the words that the right uses.
Yeah, they'll use it as a word track.
Right. She decided she was going to end the suffering of her baby. Now, we all know when babies are born, they feel. They may not remember until year 2 or 3, but they still have feelings. She's ending the suffering. Her state of Massachusetts, you can only have an abortion if the mother's life is at risk. So she had to fly all the way to Colorado to perform the abortion. And then when she came back, she was kind of persecuted for it. Like, people looked, but
people shouldn't be judging her. They're not walking in her shoes.
I agree.
And here's the problem. I say, mind your own fucking business.
There's another debate in this country. We put such a high value to life, and there is nothing more valuable to life, a good life. But there is a debate, another one that's not red or blue, about things like euthanasia. Suicide is never an option. There's always help for suicide. I personally separate suicide and euthanasia. All right, so euthanasia, usually you think about an elderly person.
Right.
They're suffering, they've had a long life, they want to die. But what about the people that are just in extreme pain every day? There is no
cure for whatever they have. I mean, listen, that's a person's choice. At the end of the day, that's an individual's choice. I don't think the government has the right to tell somebody if they choose to die that they can't do it. I think it's bullshit.
I think there are situations where
if somebody's mentally unstable.
Exactly.
But
choosing to die is the right. Euthanasia is for severe pain. Yeah. That's how I'm personally separating them.
Somebody's battling some horrible disease and does not want to suffer till they take their last breath.
Definitely not. We have no opinion. Because we're not in that pain.
No.
No.
And again, government needs to stay out. That's between that person, their loved ones, and their physician.
And you bring up a good point, because I don't even understand why the government is in things
They
like that.
shouldn't be.
Because that person's not going to be paying taxes, because whatever reason. It's not big enough.
It's all posturing. That's all it is. It's posturing, taking a position, and these are topics that they believe win elections, in 2020 elections coming, and everybody's trying to take their stance on the podium, and this is what I stand for. I'm so far right, I'm so far left, or I'm moderately here or moderately there. At the end of the day, it's all just chirping. It's all bullshit, word tracks. None of it's going to go anywhere. If the law is a law, it's already a law.
We're going through this in New York right now, too.
Absolutely. Oh, yeah, we had a huge
Cuomo just passed that.
Yeah, there was a huge protest in Albany over late-term abortions.
Act. So the Reproductive Health Act, where the Democrats just knocked down the Save the Baby Life Act, or whatever the American federal one is, we had in this state a Reproductive Health Act, which allowed late-term abortions. Now, I didn't go in and read everything, so I don't know if any woman can have a late-term abortion or if it still has to go under the things. But some of the quotes that are coming out of this is, like Michael Long, chairman of the New York State Conservative Party, said, under the Reproductive Health Act, babies born alive would be able to left expire. So what he has just done here is he has created an image of a baby, all cute, all wrinkled, and vulnerable, who just needs a little nose suction and a slap on the butt before it starts crying for mama and suckling on that doctor's tit.
Yeah.
Suckling on the mama's tit. That the doctor just throws in a corner and lets die while the mother cries tears of joy. That what I wrote there is how I felt Michael Long was trying to portray this image.
It's exactly how he's trying to portray it, because he wants his opinion out there.
Right, and here's a kinder version of what they're saying and what they disapprove of. So here is Senator Gallivan, who voted against the act, had to say about why he was voting against it.
That little heartbeat and that little thing moving around in the mother's womb is a unique human being. It doesn't meet our definition in the penal law of a person. But it has a heartbeat, and it is moving, and it has an identity. And I would also venture to say that we have people in this very chamber. We certainly know people, but there's those in this very chamber that were born premature.
But it's not all cases.
Right. I think the key is humane. What's humane? You know?
So, and I do like the fact that he brought up that people in the chamber were born prematurely, because that is showing that even in the late term, these babies can survive. So that is a vote for me against late term abortions if the baby is going to survive. You know, you've had plenty of time. The baby's going to survive. The baby's predicted to have a good quality of life. We've already gone through all the tests.
Yeah.
But when the baby is going to suffer, that's a completely different story. Yeah. I kind of just wish Michael Long had gone the way of Senator Gallivan on how he said it, because they both paint a different picture. Both are fighting for the same thing. It's just Gallivan's was a little bit more relevant and humane.
Right. But, you know, you have people like Michael Long, you know, on the right and the left that, you know, they just carelessly throw words out there and try and make things exaggerated.
Right. And that happens on both sides.
Yeah, and it happens. This is not a one-party problem. Yeah, this happens in all parties.
Just different topics.
Yeah.
Each party is saying something
The bottom
different.
line is, if it's inhumane to keep somebody alive, and this is just my opinion, and I'll tell you right now, if I'm ever in that position, I'm not handling this with my senator or my congressperson. I'm handling it with my wife.
You're not calling Governor Cuomo?
No.
Be like,
no,
hey,
not
Andrew,
at all.
So,
not at all.
So what are you going to do if I kill this baby?
Yeah. And at the end of the day, I'm doing what I'm doing. I'm not worrying about what law, because some asswipe somewhere, you know, is trying to push their beliefs on me. Don't get me wrong. Don't misunderstand me. I am not pro-abortion. I am 100% not pro-abortion. But I think there are cases where it's going to happen, and there are very good reasons that it's going to happen, okay? Me personally, I'm not for it, okay? That would haunt me, It would truly haunt me. But somebody else having an abortion is none of my business. I
Right.
don't need to know why. I don't need to know the details.
I don't need to see the babies in the buckets.
Right. What I need is to
You know what the worst part about those babies in the buckets is? You don't know what happened.
Yeah,
did the baby?
Yeah.
And the babies in the buckets, those are not American images. Those
Right.
are coming from overseas.
Yeah,
all right?
100%.
So understand that, you
Yeah.
kooky people.
Yeah.
But just the dead babies. So say even if it's the most beautiful picture of a dead baby you can see, and I don't even know how that's possible, but you don't know why. You don't even know if that baby was really aborted. We were talking about the cages last week,
yeah.
or a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
I mean, everything's just misinformation nowadays.
Yeah,
It's hard to know.
Yeah, all the information's bullshit, but at the end of the day, it comes down to what's humane, what's not, and it's a decision that should be made between the parents and their doctor, their physician, and know that there's programs out there for somebody who truly doesn't want a baby, that the child can be put up, or children can be put up for adoption. Yep. I mean, come on. How far do you want the government in your life?
Right.
I mean, honestly.
Well, some want them to make every decision, and
Yeah.
some want them to make no decision.
Yeah, and some of them want everybody to support everybody else. I say, fuck that. Get your own job, and you worry about your own children, and stop worrying about mine and complete strangers and what they're doing. That's what local law enforcement is. If somebody's being abused, call the police. If somebody, has a case where they want to abort a child, that's between them and their doctor. It's none of your business.
So the best part is, and I thought this was funny, in an interview, Long, who we just talked about painting that picture, said he was sure that the law didn't spell out that babies would be left to die. But because the law allows abortions later in pregnancy, he questions what will happen to babies who are born alive.
Yeah.
So it's already federal law. That
Yeah, exactly.
if they're born alive and there's not a hospice reason, that you have to save their life.
Yeah.
But if the baby's going to die a horrible death, you can, just like we do with the elderly, it's hospice care.
You know what you want to get the real view on this? Why don't you take 10 couples that have had children late term and watch them suffer and die within the first 72 hours or even the first week, and suffer painfully?
I thought about finding some articles on that, but I'm such a baby, I didn't want to cry on her. And that would make me cry.
Yeah.
Talking about, because they have the videos.
Yeah.
I almost clicked on one.
Yeah.
But
don't do it
you
to
watch
yourself.
you watch the last couple, but the baby was only alive 5 days, and it was just, I'm gonna cry right now.
Yeah. Well, let's move on.
All right. So lots of people lately have been talking about leaving their party. And recently a lot of it has been on the Democrats. So I'm going to start now on the right, why the right wants to switch, because it was much harder for me to find reasons why people wanted to leave the right. Now, a lot of people on the right are like, we don't like Trump, but they still want to be conservative.
Right. Yeah, because being conservative is not a crime. And the right has lost people to the Libertarian Party because they don't want to push their beliefs on other people.
Right. Well, they've also lost people to the Libertarian Party because of Trump.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
So during a Sunday interview on CNN State of the Union with Jake Tapper, Justin Amash said that he's not ruling out the possibility of running for president as a libertarian. This is what he had to say.
Well, I'd never rule anything out. That's not on my radar right now, but I think that it is important that we have someone in there who is presenting a vision for America that is different from what these two parties are presenting. Right now, we have a wild amount of partisan rhetoric on both sides, and Congress is totally broken. We can't debate things in a clear way anymore.
So right here, he's not coming out and saying he's running for president, and he's never mentioned it. That was Jake Tapper asking if he would be willing to.
I think he hits the nail right on the head. Right now, we have a wild amount of partisan rhetoric on both sides. Listen, people are getting sick and tired of this.
Yep.
They really are. I know I'm fed up with it.
Well,
I am.
Another thing that I realized watching this interview was he didn't actually say he's leaving the Republican Party.
Right.
He's just saying that he's going to join the Libertarians. Just like Bernie is joining the Democrats to run, he joined the Libertarians to fight Trump. But in the end, he's still going to be still going to have those Republican
Values. Exactly.
So,
and Bernie's still going to have his socialist values, just with the word Democrat parked in front of it.
yeah.
I think democratic socialists, which is socialism, no matter how you dice it, you can put a silk hat on a pig, it's still a pig. Okay? Socialist is socialist. They've just invaded the Democratic Party.
I don't know. A pig with a silk hat. That's a pretty pig.
Yeah, you get bacon and something sexy, I guess.
Squeal, piggy.
Come here.
Oh, I can't believe I went there. So another thing he points out is that, and I love this. This is such an important part. Trump is the president, and he's the Republican president. Justin Amash says, he points out, it is not his job to agree with everything the president says.
It's not.
Just because they're a part of the same party.
Exactly.
I'm going to totally be watching this guy.
Yeah.
Just that line alone makes me go, you know what? I like you. Because
Yeah.
you can be a Republican and disagree with Trump.
Yeah. Country first, not party. You put country first. You put the public first. You put the public's best interest
People have
first.
a problem doing that. So,
Well, you know why? Because their own party drums them out.
yeah.
That's why.
So another person that wants to leave the Republican Party is Susan Del Percio, or Percio. I'm not sure how you say your name. But I guess President Trump said something at CPAC, and she believes that the conservative movement is being completely hijacked. She says that she blames the people in the crowd at CPAC because they would rather be entertained than face the hard realities and face the fact that they have sold themselves out to the great entertainer of our political times. Now, I'm going to take issue with this. They did not sell themselves out to the great entertainer.
No.
And the people that were clapping at CPAC, I mean, we're living in like a hive mentality on both sides right now.
Right.
We also have a bunch of people that voted for Trump because they hated Hillary Clinton.
Yeah.
There's no way around it. There's no nicer way for me to say it. They didn't like Hillary Clinton, so they just voted against her.
They just didn't like her.
And
And the other option is a socialist, and they don't like socialism. So, you know, why?
Well, even on top of that, our two-party system is so ingrained in our heads that if you don't vote Democrat, you vote Republican. Even if you think, okay, Bernie would be okay, but I don't want to waste my vote on Bernie because that may lead to Hillary going.
Right.
If everybody just voted for who they truly wanted instead of voting for the party that they truly want,
Might be surprised.
we might be in a different place right now. Now, something that I don't get offended, but I don't know the other word to say to this, take offense to. She said, I think it's going to take a time where we face a disaster in our country, whether it be a natural disaster, a financial disaster, or a terrorist attack. It's something that requires strong leadership and real policies and things to help us go forward as a nation. So what she's saying is until we face a natural disaster or a terrorist attack, we're just going to keep drifting farther and farther apart. And I think that this offends me because I agree with her. Because we are so batshit crazy right now that until we're forced to come together, we're just going to keep pushing each other apart.
Look at how well the country came together after 9/11.
I hate to say that though, but I think that's why it offends me because I'm so conflicted right now.
It's got to shock you back into reality.
Yeah.
That's what it is. And it's a sad statement, but I'm sure there's more accuracy here than people will give it.
But those two stories came because of this next story. Now, I really had to do some searching to figure out why people were going on the record saying they're leaving the right. Why they're leaving the left? I mean, there's a new story every day.
Yeah, I don't have to research that. I already know what it is.
So, we've all heard of Brandon Straka. We've all heard of the walk away movement, founded by Brandon Straka. He believes that the party has just become too radicalized. He said, and I quote, I know there are millions of people who are feeling exactly the same way I'm feeling too, that their party has left them. The Democratic Party has become a party of rage and hate and lies and the liberal media machine that backs them up. Now, I 100%, we've been talking about this for months.
Nonstop, yeah.
It's just everybody wants to rage. Nobody, and they'll twist anything you say.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. take it
fit
out of
their-
context, apply it to their twisted point of view, and then try and sell it.
Exactly. And if you don't believe me, go watch that video of the kid that punched the other kid on the campus. It's going around. Now, the guy that did the punching, his name was Zachary Greenberg. He punched Hayden Williams just for representing the Republican, I wrote MAGA, party, and he's facing charges. So two guys went up, and I don't think either of these people were part of the school that they were at.
Yeah, I don't know.
But they were representing the Republican Party, and they're trying to get recruits. And I believe they were asked to come in to do this during this day. Well, two guys walked up to him, and it started to get heated. And you watch it, and the Republican guy is just like, I don't want to fight. We don't have to do this. And then the liberal guy is grabbing his bags and, tussling with him. And then he lets go of his bags, and he just cold clocks him.
Yeah.
Now, the Liberal Party is supposed to be the lovey-dovey party, but
Pe-
they are
yeah, peace, love, and hair grease.
They've become the most violent party. Everything you see is a MAGA hat getting flipped. I mean, they try to talk about right-wing people going after people, but you don't see any of it.
Right.
It doesn't happen. They pretend like it happened.
Yeah.
They worry that it's going to happen, and then the video shows a bunch of fucking liberals
Yeah.
going after people in red hats.
Yeah.
This is scary when they just start attacking people just because of the hats they wear. And I bet you if you sat down, you waited for Zachary to calm down, you actually had a nice, intelligent conversation with him, he honestly will not be able to tell you why he hates the MAGA hats other than he hates Trump. Every argument I get into with people, and I didn't vote for Trump, but every argument I get into people about Trump is like, I go, what did he do that really pisses you off? He said a couple words, he hurt your feelings, and now you're punching somebody in the face?
Yeah.
Come on, you're just being fucking ridiculous now.
Yeah, but you know what though? The reality is the way the news cycles run, they're either over the top for them or they're over the top against them, and they're dividing the people in the United States. They're being divided. They're being divided by design, and they don't even realize it.
Ed Rendell, a former Pennsylvania governor and national Democratic chairman, he was just on record saying in the New York Times, the more we have presidential candidates or newly elected congresspeople talking about the Green New Deal, talking about Medicare for all, talking about socialism, and the more that plays into the Trump campaign's hands. So what he's saying is Pennsylvania is not going to vote for the Democrats because of all this stuff.
Yeah. People don't want socialism.
No, they don't.
So
It doesn't make sense.
no. And you know what?
Especially in America with the population we have.
It's so strong. You know, there's just so many people here.
There's too many people.
I think there's only been one semi-successful story, and I forget what the country is, but it's
Denmark.
it's like 1/14 or 1/17 the size of Texas.
They got 5 million people, I think they have. And most of them work.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. You don't have...
So we talk about like the unemployment. But what people don't understand, and because that's what I had an argument with somebody about socialism the other day, and they're like, well, we have these record, I'm like, who's going to pay for it? Because it's going to come out of taxes. And they're like, well, we have this record number of unemployment that we haven't had before. And I'm like, good, pro-Trump comment right there. But you understand that unemployment does not include the people who have stopped looking for work. So they just live at home on welfare. Unemployment only counts the people that are in unemployment trying to find jobs.
Right.
If you have stopped and you've just given up, you're not counted.
You're off the sheet.
And there's really not a list
of how many people are
right
moved off and not working.
Exactly.
Because you can only collect for so long. People, listen, people get so excited. They look at stats and they don't even understand what the stats are.
Right.
And that's a lot of the problem. Nobody wants to do the homework. Nobody wants to look past the headline.
Everybody likes what should be, but they don't like to study on what would happen if we do that, why it's this way.
Right.
What does this word actually mean, like unemployment? Because you hear unemployment, you just think that that's people who don't have jobs.
Right.
Which it is, but it's not everybody who doesn't have a job.
Right.
So here's another Democratic concern that's going on right now. The new Democrats in the that have come to power, like AOC and all them.
Yeah.
AOC in particular. And every week we seem to fucking talk about this lady. But
Well, because she's a social media mogul. She's out there patting herself on the back, and she's getting praised for actually asking a question at the Cohen hearings, which the million other senators, if they were doing even a tenth of their job, they would have asked a legitimate question instead of making statements for their 5 minutes and just getting jabs on what a shitbag he is.
yeah.
You know, she actually did what they're supposed to do, which was ask a couple of good questions. And you know what? I'm going to give her credit for that.
Yeah.
Because she actually did her friggin' job while the rest of them didn't. They all postured, and posturing gets you nowhere.
Nowhere. Yep. But another thing that she's done, and I don't think she's realized it. So the extreme liberals, the one thing that they like socialism, they hate bullying, all that stuff, but then they end up being bullies.
Oh, yeah, I
We
know
just-
where.
we were just talking about the kid that punched the other dude in the face.
Yeah,
And then Ocasio comes out and said some of her colleagues could find themselves on a list,
Yeah.
quote, of primary election targets.
yeah,
Basically, if you don't do what I say
it's a threat.
and you don't agree with me and you don't sign off on my agree deal and you don't love every fucking thing I say and you don't laugh at my dance that I put on fucking YouTube and
Yeah.
you don't tell me my food looks delicious that I put on Twitter, you're going to be on a list of people we vote out. I mean, this lady is batshit crazy. She has no idea how to work for people. She literally thinks she's in charge. She's been there for, 2.5 months?
Yeah.
And she thinks she's actually said, I'm in charge.
Yeah, well, that's cool. Well, you know what? We'll see what happens when it comes time for re-election. And if the people in that borough want to keep putting her in, God bless them. That's their God-given right. In the meantime, I don't want to hear about her unless she has something constructive that's sensible that can actually be done other than revamping the planet, getting rid of all cars and cattle. Yeah, I'm spreading rhetoric right now.
Yeah.
Just the way everybody else does, because some of the shit's so idiotic, and then the posturing and, oh yeah, look at me, I asked great questions. Oh yeah, look at me, I did this. Look at me, I did that. I don't give a shit. Go do your job.
She's part of the participation trophy generation.
Yeah,
That's
well, all right.
that's
So
part
let's
of the
send her a
problem.
trophy and maybe she calms down. But you know what? I will say I want to get this out here. As much as I'm sick of the little bullshit that goes along with her, when she actually does do something, it seems pretty good. I don't agree with her on her socialist views. I just like the way she has done a few things.
Yep.
But that doesn't make me love her. It doesn't want to make me elect her as president. It doesn't want to make me change the law that somebody what age they have to be to run for president. I think the Dems are really grasping for straws there. But here's the problem. I've said it and I'm going to say it again. The American public does not want socialism in this country. So you Democrats that are in charge and in power, if you're hanging your hat on the Bernies and the AOCs, and you really don't want Trump to be elected president again, you're going to help elect him.
I'm going to push back a little bit because I think that there is a lot of people, and I just put this on Twitter the other day, that want socialism. What I put out there, because somebody put on there, nobody's going to elect Bernie because he's a socialist. I go, they absolutely would elect Bernie because he's a socialist. Once Ocasio put in her Green New Deal, fact part, not the actual one, but the fact part that came out, and there's a reason why that got leaked. It wasn't an accident.
Yeah.
They wanted people to see that. When she said that people who are unwilling to have jobs would get paid, boom, that was the day. Human beings are inherently lazy.
Yeah, and they're going to be too lazy to register to vote, and they're going to be too lazy to go down and vote.
No, that's why everybody's going to be pre-registered and you can just do it online.
Yeah.
All things that are being brought up.
Yeah.
But another thing that, so there's this Representative Josh Gottheimer, I'm so sorry, I can't say names. A chairman of the Bipartisan Problem Solvers Caucus, so you already know I like it because it's bipartisan, said he has confronted party leaders about things that are being said. He went after a liberal group that backed Ocasio-Cortez's primary election. And one of the things that he said was, quote, being unified means ensuring that the Democrats aren't primarying other sitting Democrats. Since when is it okay to put you on a Nixonian list? We need to have a big tent in our party or we won't keep the House or win the White House.
He's
Now,
correct.
He just called a Democrat a Nixonian.
You're right.
Which, I mean, people don't realize it. That's pretty
A lot of people won't understand that.
right. But I mean, that's a pretty harsh thing to be called right now.
Yeah.
And another thing, I'd like to bring this up. I haven't finished the book yet, and I'm going to have to read it again. But right now, I brought it up last week. I'm reading Fascism by Madeleine Albright. Now, she is Democrat, and I love this book. It's great. It shows how fascism has started. And the best part is it's pretty close to nonpartisan. Now, obviously, it's going to skew a little Democratic. Just like you skew a little Democratic on the program, I skew a little right a lot of the times. It's Madeleine Albright, but she is pretty much right down the center. And she brings up socialism campaigns. She brings up Stalin. I mean, Mussolini. I guess Stalin really wasn't, but Mussolini. But some of the things that are going on today are pretty scary. There's some things that Trump has tried to do, going after the media. There's some things that Ocasio-Cortez are doing that, luckily the way our country works, like I said, I'm going to have to re-listen to that book, and we may have a bonus book episode.
I think if you're a listener and you think socialism is a great idea, I think try to be proactive and just research 5 socialist countries and what the state of their economy is and the people.
And even the ones over in Europe. They're starting to backtrack on some of their things. Maybe not Denmark yet, but their population is so small.
Right.
But some of these Scandinavian countries, they're backtracking on their...
Yeah, because they're running out of money.
Yeah, I mean, that's the problem.
Yeah.
I don't have a problem with helping people. I have a problem with where the money's going to come from. I think people misunderstand these things. Just like today, I was talking about the new Green Deal. I think it was great that it got brought forward. Nice conversation starter. Let's work together, come together. But the problem is saying, no, we're going to do this and we're going to do it by 2030. That is an impossible timeline.
Yeah. I'm going to say this. I know, and I know 100% that these fossil fuel companies have the technology to make clean energy. Because every time somebody invents it, they go in and they buy it and they bury it. Because they make so much money on fossil fuels and things like that.
That's what's happening with solar energy in Florida.
Absolutely.
It happened with natural gas around here for a little bit.
Absolutely.
Until the energy companies bought it.
Yeah. Yeah. Until they can make more money going the other way. Or if we have, I don't think we've made peak oil. We might have. But I think the minute somebody decides we've hit peak oil, I think you're going to see these companies start to make a different kind of energy.
Yeah.
Right now, it's too profitable. It really is.
I think we do need to come back to the center. The Libertarian Party, we like it, but that's not necessarily center.
No, it's not. And I don't like everything that I like. Here's what I like about it. Don't push your beliefs and force other people to comply to your beliefs.
Right. But I do believe there is a point where we have to say, you know what? Just because you believe that and you want to do that, you are infringing on that person's rights, or you're infringing on the majority of people's rights. You can't do that. I do believe there is a spot for that.
Yeah. Here's the thing. When you hear a law come out and you're all appalled by it, or, somebody votes something in and you're all appalled by it because it doesn't go far enough for you, you know how you change that? You as an individual, do what you believe in. I'm not saying break the law, but I'm just saying, you know what? If you feel that, socialism is the way to go and you should donate 70% of your hard-earned money to lazy people, go ahead and do it. That's your business. Don't force me to do it. I'm not doing it.
Right.
It's just that simple. So if you believe it that hard, go do it. Go work in a homeless shelter for free. Or better yet,
I'm fine with them setting up funds.
Yeah,
You want
absolutely.
to set up a fund that people can tap into? You go do that. You work for that. And I guarantee the majority of the people that want socialism aren't going to be funding it.
No, they don't have time for that, or the job.
You know how I know that? Because they don't fund them now.
Right, absolutely. It's in here. This will make my point. Trump raised all this money. Somebody raised all this money for Trump's wall. I forget how much money it was and how fast it was. If people can believe in it that much and they want to pay for that wall themselves, go right ahead. Don't force me to pay
And then
for
Trump
it.
was told he couldn't use it.
And then he was told he couldn't use it, which was the ass kicker. But if you want to support just people who don't feel like working, start a fund for them. All these socialists can donate all their money to it, and they can support each other. You don't push that on the rest of the country.
I agree. All right, let's get on to our quick caps. So this week, San Francisco officials were brought up because they plan to expunge more than 9,000 marijuana convictions dating back to 1975. And they're getting a little pushback on that. But District Attorney George Gascon, say that for me.
I think you got it.
All right. He said it was the morally right thing to do. He told the Los Angeles Times, if you have a felony conviction, you are automatically excluded in so many ways from participating in your community. So what's going on now is California has decided that marijuana is legal. So district attorney is going back through finding cases that involve just marijuana possession. All right. And he's saying, you know what, we're going to expunge your record. You're not going to have a felony. You're going to be released. You're going to be able to get a job without having to check that box, committed a felony. And I 100% approve.
Yeah.
We've decided as a society, at least the state of California citizens have decided that marijuana is not illegal. Therefore, anybody who was arrested for the marijuana should be released because it's no longer illegal.
Well, it's clogging up their system over there, too.
Right.
There's so many petty drug offenses when it comes to marijuana. And, listen, we're not talking about the guy who smuggled in 20 tons.
Right. And we're not talking about the guy who did X, X, and X and also had marijuana.
Right.
Maybe that marijuana charge gets expunged from X, X, and X, but X, X, and X still counts.
Yeah, 100%. They're just not getting out because they had a dime bag of weed on them. I mean,
exactly.
Come on. But here's my opinion. Guess what? I don't live in San Francisco, so I really don't give a shit what they do. I'm all the way in New York.
I'm just saying, just the idea in general. So New York decides the same thing.
I'm fine with it.
I think the same thing. But this is totally different than being found wrongfully convicted. So there should be no reparations.
Right.
You committed the crime. You did the time. Just California decided that it's legal today. So now today you're a free citizen. You still had to pay for your crime back then.
Yeah, because it was a crime at the time. And if you're doing time because of it and they let you out on that date, consider yourself a lucky individual.
Yep. So a legislative council of the California Narcotic Officers Association by the name of John Lovell, he's pushing back. He said to simply embark on an across-the-board expungement of 9,300 without looking at any of the surrounding factors on any of those cases strikes us as cavalier and irresponsible. I don't think that's what's happening.
No,
I think they're looking at everything and they're just going for the people that had just marijuana charges.
Yeah. I mean, you got pulled over for not stopping or rolling through a stop sign and they found you, with an ounce of weed, and now that person's in jail, but now an ounce of weed is legal. Yeah. Why are they still in jail? All right. So they did time when it was illegal. Today it's legal.
Even when it was illegal in New York, an ounce, or I forget the exact amount, if you had it on you, the cops were told, don't even bother with it.
Yeah.
So I don't think that's what's happening. And if that is what's happening, then yeah, you need to look at it. It shouldn't be for the people that...
Yeah, it's not a blanket thing. It's not somebody who assassinated 15 people in a place of work and he caught a marijuana charge because he had marijuana on him. Now we're going to let him out of prison for that. That charge is just coming off and they're doing the time
for everything
else.
All right, so here's something that boggles my mind. An 11-year-old girl kills a 1-year-old baby, and the 1-year-old baby's name was Paxton Davis. So in Maryland, an 11-year-old girl was charged with first-degree child abuse after she allegedly admitted to assaulting a baby boy so severely that he died from his injuries. The girl's family was caring for the victim, was like a friend of the family's child. And the girl's mother, for whatever reason, left the house to run an errand. She said a very brief time.
She's responsible.
Long enough for this child to beat another child to death. Now, the 11-year-old girl allegedly told authorities that she had assaulted the baby Sunday morning when they had been left alone. She would not go into detail on whether she used a weapon or exactly what she did to the baby or why she did it to the baby as of the recording of this episode. Now, my question is why are we leaving an 11-year-old child with a 1-year-old child? Especially an 11-year-old child with somebody not related to them's 1-year-old child. So it's
Yeah.
not like they were just watching their little brother or little sister.
Yeah, that's a little sketchy.
Now,
but
when I was a kid,
yes, I was just gonna say
go for it.
When I was a kid, you know, you had an older sibling, watched younger siblings. You know, if your parents, you know, growing up, both my parents worked. And a lot of times, you know, you get home from school and one sibling is taking care of the rest of the siblings. But, you know, at the end of the day, you're responsible for your children.
Right.
And you're responsible for their actions.
And you should know, number one, kids today are not as mature as they were back then.
No, because they have to do less to survive.
Right. Number two, I remember, I don't think I was 11, but maybe 12 or I was probably 12 because I don't think I was a teenager yet.
Right.
I remember watching my kid brothers at that age, and I'm pretty confident that I'm part of the reason why they're fucked up. I'm not, you know, but I was 12. What the fuck do I know?
Siblings can be mean to each other.
Oh yeah.
For sure.
I'm pretty sure one of them's probably still scared of the basement.
Yeah. But, you know, it was an equal opportunity of torture, you know, growing up, you know.
I had an older brother.
Yeah. You know, the older brother was mean, and then I was mean to the younger brother. And, you know, at the end of the day, you know, it is what it is. But in that case, here, my attitude is just this simple. The parents are responsible for their children and their children's actions when they're minors.
Yeah.
All right. Regardless, I wouldn't have a friend watch one of my kids and then they leave their 11-year-old to watch my 1-year-old.
Could you imagine that?
No, I couldn't imagine that. But even further, I wouldn't be, well, that 11-year-old needs to be prosecuted. I'd want the mother's head on a stick.
I'm a big proponent of that too, going after the parents.
Oh, you gotta. You're responsible for your children.
Yep.
Listen, if an 11-year-old went out and keyed a car with a rock, the mother would have to pay, or the parents would have to pay to fix the car.
Absolutely.
So how's this any different? First off, this is worse because a 1-year-old died. Now it's, well, you know, I don't know. I mean, did we just prosecute the 11-year-old?
This might be on the episode next week, but
yeah, I'm sure because there's got to be some follow-up.
I got a story. So
Okay.
E-cigarettes. They want to ban flavored e-cigarette juice like Tutti Frutti and stuff like that, and cotton candy, because it promotes kids.
It panders
to
to kids.
Motherfucker, I don't smoke, but
Right.
I'm not allowed to enjoy Tutti fucking Frutti.
Yeah.
Fruity Pebbles are delicious.
Yeah.
All right, so go after the fucking parents. And if
That's
you go,
exactly who you go after.
And if you go after the parents will start beating their children. And you know what? Fuck social services. Because these kids do whatever the fuck they want because nobody goes after them. When you start going after the parents are going to start going after the kids. The kids are going to be like, you know what? I ain't touching that shit.
There's no
I don't
consequences.
Care if it says Tutti Frutti on
Yeah,
it.
there's no consequences for their actions. You're responsible for your own goddamn kids when it comes to smoking e-cigs. Get your house in order. Don't tell me how to get my house in order when you can't even control yours.
All right, now that we're fired up, Rick and I are putting on the boxing gloves because I have a feeling that this one's going to turn into a fight.
Oh.
Another story about kids. So the 16-year-olds in Brattleboro, Vermont, are arguing that they should be allowed to vote. So
I'd say no.
At first reaction,
but I don't live there.
At first reaction, I thought, because what they said is at 16, I'm no less able to vote than when I'm 17, and no less able to vote when I'm 18. You know, just because the government says I can smoke a cigarette at 18, I think it's 21 now, or I can fight for my country at 18, doesn't mean that I was any less responsible at 17, any less responsible at 16.
There's so many sticky points here.
So what I said was, you know, at first reaction, I thought, well, why not 14? Why not 12? But there is this one individual, and I'm going to say her name because it's been in the newspapers, but I believe she's underage. but her name is Rio Daims. And she speaks about the aspect of our country that says there is no taxation without representation.
Oh yeah, I was not aware.
Are you
of
taking your
this.
boxing gloves off? He's taking his boxing gloves off. Look at that.
yeah.
Oh, we were about to have a
man.
fight. I did the exact same thing as you. A 16-year-old made me go,
Yeah.
So this is what she had to say, and I apologize for the audio. It was from just a recorded town hall meeting.
Probably the biggest point that we've been thinking about, because most of the people my age that I know actually have a job or have had a job, and their incomes are taxed, and those taxes go into things that people vote on and affect them very directly.
And that's why this is purple politics, because I 100% agree with her.
Yeah. You know, I listen, I'd love to sit here and be a dick about this, but you got me on taxation without representation.
So,
and you know what?
I agree.
I agree.
So the Tax Foundation data shows that Americans under the age of 18, and this is from the most recent study, which was back in 2011, paid $730 million in taxes. Now, what Rio Daims said is listen, and this is not a quote, this is me.
Yeah.
Listen, I pay taxes with my part-time job that you take that determines stuff for me.
And I have no say.
And I have no say.
Right.
So I totally agree with her.
Yeah, I gotta, you know. So here's what you do. If you don't want them to vote, then don't take taxes out of their check.
I agree. Or just like, I'm not sure about every other state. I didn't do any looking, but teens in New York have to have working papers.
Right.
So why not say, you know what, with your working paper, once you get your job, your employer signs this piece of paper, you now have voting rights.
Right.
And if you have paid taxes in that year,
yeah,
so the 2011 to 2012,
should be able to vote.
You should be able to vote in the 2012 elections.
Right.
100% agree. The people that don't go get working papers and don't vote, you know what? I would rather have a 16-year-old who is working vote than somebody who has sat on their ass and never had a job in their life vote.
Like a socialist?
Like a socialist.
Yeah.
Now, that person has the right to vote just because they hit an age, but they've shown no...
Yeah, they've put nothing into it.
They've put nothing into it. This 16-year-old that we were just about to have a fight about...
Oh, yeah, I was heated about this. I was going to go off on a tangent. Can't smoke, can't drink, can go serve the country. You know, you have to be 18,
right.
21 for all this shit. You know, you should be able to be a mature age, but, you know, there's so many arguments here. But the minute I heard taxation without representation...
We just got bamboozled by a 16-year-old.
Damn right. And
Not even bamboozled, because this is totally legit.
Yeah, it's legit. And yeah, I want to give this person some credit, because I actually agree. If you're paying taxes, you should be able to vote. So here's the solution. I know there's going to be a lot of people say, you know what, I don't give a shit. 16-year-olds don't know if they're coming or going. And I would say, I want to agree, the majority don't. Some do.
Right.
The majority don't. But, you know, if you don't want them to vote, then you don't tax their check. It's just that simple.
Now, I surprised you with this article on purpose.
He did.
I thought it was going to be...
Yeah, he gave me no warning on this. Except for maybe a little word track on it. I've got something we're going to disagree on.
Yeah, and a man did speak up and say kind of what you were saying about like 16-year-olds not understanding. He brought up, and it's a scientific fact that we all agree on now, that the human brain doesn't fully evolve until the 20s.
Right.
That's why kids are staying at home later. That's why we have to insure them later.
So how come me and you had to leave at such an early age?
Why did I kick my son out at 18? Because he wanted to work at McDonald's.
Well,
because we live in a different world.
Yeah, for sure.
But as far as I'm concerned, he is right. But what Rio said in response to him was, if that's the case, then why are we allowed to vote at 18? And this goes back to episode 25, the Mauro Ocasio-Cortez episode, where we talk about how Michael Moore just doesn't understand his history.
Yeah.
The reason we can vote at 18, the reason why we can do everything at 18, the reason we do military right now at 18,
Life expectancy.
well, that's what it was back then. Now
Yeah.
it's still 18
Yeah.
because the government wants soldiers.
Yeah.
So that's a topic for another episode. But in the past, it was life expectancy. When you're only living to 40, 18 is middle age.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And if you follow that math, you wouldn't have to enlist or whatever till you're in your 30s now.
Oh my God, could you imagine
40.
signing up for the draft at 40?
I think so many people would wash out of boot camp.
I could barely run to the back of my trailer to
Yeah.
lock it up.
You know, and I don't want to disclose my age, but I would just have a really hard time with a 20-year-old
72.
just racking me in my face and getting all up in my grill over sit-ups or push-ups or drilling me.
Oh, after he did that and I popped him in his face, I broke my hand.
Yeah, that would be a tough one right there.
All right, well, I do want to take a second to thank Rio Daims for showing what Purple Politics is about.
Yes.
It's about people bringing up opinions and facts and just blowing your mind and going, you know what?
That's one right there.
You changed my mind.
Absolutely, 100%.
That's the podcast for this week. I'm your host, Ben.
I'm Rick.
Find us at purplepoliticspodcast.com. Send us over any of those articles you want us to discuss. We can be found at Politically Purple on Facebook and at Rick and Ben on Twitter. And Twitter is where we do most of our tweeting.
Yeah,
Because you can't tweet on Facebook.
yeah.
Remember to subscribe and rate and review this episode. Talk to you again next week.